find it interesting. I like the music. I like that they play musical instruments on Shabbat. I enjoy the Kiddush. Like often the women don't have as many sexual hang-ups. Sometimes they can offer me all three orifices simultaneously. And I dig that about Reform and Conservative Judaism, not to mention Reconstructionists, where, you know, they might throw in their twin sister as well. But in all my journeys and wanderings, like Abraham, as I've wandered through synagogues in Los Angeles, I have found the most impressive people in places like Aish Torah, Young Israel Century City, B'nai David Judea, Beth Jacob, Chabad. Like, there are a lot of great people, righteous people, Torah observant people right here in Pico Robertson, like really impressive families that I want to get close to and admire and try to replicate in my own life. So that's the primary reason I'm an Orthodox Jew, is because it turns out consistently so many quality people. And I remember I was going, this family invited me home for a Shabbat lunch. I just met them on the street after shul on Shabbos morning. And they invited me home for Shabbos lunch. And as they were walking by, this like secular guy in his 20s like called out, "Now, where do you go to meet good people these days?" Like, you know, he saw that we were Orthodox Jews walking home from shul, and he just like had this lament. Where do you go to meet good people these days? It's a great question. I think, generally speaking, the best way to meet good people is to go to a traditional house of worship. And if you don't find them there, go to another one. And go to another one, and if you have to, move so that you're near a traditional house of worship that is filled with good people, so that can influence you, so you don't go constantly pursuing those, you know, amazingly flexible, orgiastic gymnasts who can give you those three orifices simultaneously. Because after about 20 or 30 years, those three simultaneous orifices will start to fall, and they won't be as exciting for you.
Are you done yet?
Yeah.
Because you've talked for like an hour. I don't even know what you're talking about.
Wait. Well, first of all, you weren't listening. You were watching the game.
Yeah, because you know what's happening.
Like, you talk 85% of the time, and I'm totally cool with that. So occasionally, that I like to say something on this show that, like, maybe one show in 5 do I talk for 5 minutes at once. Like,
you talk for 20 minutes.
I didn't talk for 20 minutes. I started about 8:12. I talked for 10 minutes.
Is there anyone?
I'd say you could probably go back for 10 shows before you'd find me speaking for 10 minutes straight.
You know what's going on with this game? This is why I have Kansas City, and once it goes over 30,
I'm not talking about Torah and goodness, you're talking about...
This is important. I have Kansas City. Kansas City has to win, and the final score has to be 32 or lower. Right now, Kansas City is winning, but the total score is 32 exactly. If anyone scores, it doesn't matter who scores. If anyone scores, I lost, it's over. We're out of the pool.
And is that going to comfort you when you go to bed alone tonight? That you're on the football pool? Is that going to help you out when you're sick? Is that going to help when you need a friend? Is that going to be there for you when you're asking the great questions about life?
It's 20 to 12. Do the math. It's 32 exactly. There's 12 minutes left. If there's just no scoring for 12 minutes, we'll win.
You know, this box is your woman with 3 simultaneous orifices open and available to you. Like, what a woman for me, who's a 3-input woman. Like, you know, how tempting I find that, and how, like, oh, I just want to get with her and I want to enter every one of those entrances. Like, that temptation for me, for you, it's that box and the goyish sports and winning your football pools. I mean, but is that going to keep you warm on cold winter nights?
Oh no! No!
This is your team, and you're rooting against them because you've been perverted by fantasy football. Like, you should be going, go, 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 you Schwarzer. But no, you're not doing that because you've been perverted. Your honest, manly love for your team is being perverted by fantasy football.
All right. By the way, Michelle says thank you for sharing, Levi.
You're welcome, Michelle. Send me a picture sometime.
And Abe says, dude, you got to go back to Sexaholics Anonymous.
Yeah, that's true.
And he has a problem now, because his problem, he mentioned this, is you once gave him a hard time because he wasn't talking Torah in the chat room,
right.
And he's like, oh, how do you justify that with the fact that you just talked about the 3 orifices like 45 times?
I can't really justify it, Abe. but it was a heck of a lot of fun. So was the woman with the 3 simultaneous orifices.
All right, go on with the Parsha while there's...
Yeah, let me talk about Torah, folks. Please.
All right.
Please.
I got to look in once in a while so that you don't keep talking about stupidities.
So when you go to an Orthodox shul and you see like 3 or 4 generations of a family and they're all there praying together, like you're seeing godliness, goodness, morality, tradition, loyalty, family, you're seeing that all right there, and it's inspiring to you. These are kind of the prime beliefs of Abraham, and through his behavior, the rest of humanity came to recognize and even adopt these values. But does the non-Jewish world, do the Goyim see these traits and lifestyle in the Jewish community today? Are we interested today in calling out to the name of the Lord in today's world? Are we proud to be the children of Abraham? Or do we feel all that stuff is just superfluous and irrelevant to us, and the crucial questions facing Jews today are same-sex marriage and the peace process and pluralism and other manufactured sloganeering?
Equality. Social justice. Socialism. Free choice. He didn't put that one in there. You gotta have, what is it? Free choice?
Yeah, choice to have abortions.
Free choice, gay marriage, all same-sex this. What are the other ones? All the lefty garbage.
So you may think you're at home now. The Jew has often felt that he is at home.
Oh, the 1%.
Even when the Jew has seemingly struck deep roots in a country and in society, there's always a storm that pushes the Jew on to a new home and to a different land. So in the past century, Europe was the home for the Jews. Almost all the Jews were decimated. Now Jewish wonder has moved on, settled largely in North America and in Israel. So Jewish faith is to be wanderers of the world. That's what it means to be Jewish.
Yeah, I was going to put something on that.
Right. Should I take this hat off before I go to the bathroom?
Yes, please. Yeah, you said the Jewish wanderer has now settled mainly in North America and in the state of Israel. And it says, and he says, are these more or less permanent homes for us, or are they only temporary havens? And I'm going to say my normal vort that, for those who don't know, that I believe that you're much more safer and we have a much better prognosis as Jews learning. If Jews have a better prognosis living here in America than we have living in the state of Israel. The state of Israel has always been, the state of Israel is no place for a Jew. The state of Israel is no place for a Jew. Okay? More Jews have died because they were Jewish in the state of Israel since its creation in 1948 than have Jews died for being Jewish outside of the state of Israel. So the idea to say that somehow the state of Israel is a safe haven for Jews is a joke. It's a perversion of truth to even think like that for a moment. 16,000 Jews have been killed in the state of Israel, since the time, because they were Jewish. 16,000 have been killed by our enemies for being Jewish. Not even close to that is any place else. You take the rest of the world and say how many people have been killed for being Jewish? Like nothing. Okay, so 6 million Jews were killed in the diaspora. Oh, geez. Was there a state of Israel prior to that? We're talking about the state of Israel. Since the time of the 6 million being killed, very few Jews have been killed worldwide. Very few. What, a handful? Nobody. Okay? America is a safe place for a Jew. It is virtually unheard of in America for a Jewish person to be killed like in a hate crime, right? Because they were Jewish. That is so rare. But it happens every day in the state of Israel. The state of Israel is a very dangerous place. It might have a maximum shelf life of maybe 100 years tops before they, the enemies come in and they get rid of them, and God is like, the things that you're saying, well, maybe God will